If you are someone who is decisive and assertive, capable of being in solitude, has strong moral principles and holds up to them, has standards and preferences that are well known among the people that you're around because you don't let anybody take advantage of you, or if they do try to take advantage of you and you set the boundary, you're able to hold your own with a backbone. These are all signs that you're likely to have a strong personality. Well, what makes you have a mysterious personality, though, along with that strong personality? Because when you have a mysteriously strong personality, some people are going to fear you, some people are going to really be intrigued by you, other people are not going to like you, and other people are going to be determined to misunderstand you. So you're going to have a wide array of people that are going to be trying to put labels on you that are not necessarily congruent with your own psychological and personality traits. So let's say, for example, most of the time, people that are mysterious and yet have strong personalities are seen as powerful. And the reason for this is because there's a perception of power, but it's not always the case that there is power. Now, obviously, most of the time, perception is what's most important for people. Perception in regard to what the public generally sees you as. If nobody really knows your whereabouts or anything like that, but you have certain customs or things that you do in your own time, people are going to notice that and they're going to hang on every single word that you utter. And the reason for this is because if you're especially somebody that doesn't talk a lot, this is another trait and factor of somebody that has a mysterious personality. If you're somebody that doesn't necessarily talk a lot, and yet when people are around you and you talk and you know that they're listening, they're hanging on every single word. They may not agree with it. They may try to try to scam you psychologically or ideologically into believing certain things about themselves or about people or about religion or whatever it is the case may be, whatever the topic comes up, relationships, etc. Things are going to be determined based off of your presence in some sense. And you are going to be somebody that likely, if you're discussing these kinds of things among people and you have this kind of mysterious, strong personality, people are often going to say things to you maybe like, you don't know your own strength, or how you're a lot, a lot to take in. I've had this kind of thing. I've had people tell me that I'm a beast that is kind but scary at the same time. And this is specifically because they've seen what I'm capable of doing with my body with calisthenics or plyometrics, etc. And, I've had people also try to flatter me into trying to be in my circle and such. And I see straight through this kind of thing. And they, almost as they're saying all this kind of flattery stuff and they're trying to use this silver tongue that they have on me, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And when they're realizing it's not working as they're talking about it, they feel slightly embarrassed and slightly awkward at the same time. They don't exactly know what to do and how to respond from there. But something that is going to be most important, and why is this a important subject to talk about? Well, because if you're a man specifically watching this, it's actually okay for you to have a mysteriously strong personality. I'm not necessarily telling you that you should be arrogant, but I'm not telling you to not be arrogant either. And I'm not telling you to not have pathological confidence in everything that you do, because you need pathological confidence in this world to make it. You're not going to get anywhere without pathological confidence anymore. It's just simply not going to be a contributing factor to a life of longevity and prosperity. And I'm not saying that prosperity is the goal here, because it's more about a fragrance of richness for your soul that ought to be emanating from your being and really transpiring in the domains of your apprehensions. But it's also the case that you don't want to delude yourself too much into a fantasy where we have members in the Regal Change Academy that call this Candyland. And when you're in Candyland, you're too soft. Basically, that's the whole idea. Is when you're in Candyland, you're too soft. You're too deluded about reality. You're not looking at what's actually going on, and you are completely dismissing what's going on because you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen to what's going on. You don't want to listen to or see what's actually before your eyes. And I know what this is like personally. There were times in my life where I did not want to believe that people were as malevolent as they could be sometimes. When you have a true encounter with maliciousness and contempt from another person, when you encounter true hatred, it's really unlike anything you'll ever see. And it'll kind of scare you to the bone in some sense. But it's not going to be the kind of feeling that you think it's going to be if you've never experienced this kind of thing before. For anybody that has experienced this kind of feeling where you're encountering true evil before you, then you are aware that it's a completely different ballgame. It's like, oh, this person's actually evil. There's not this mysteriousness to it. There's not this strong personality that's, just holding firm in themselves. No. This evil force in another person, it's this very strange combination of a vortex of darkness as well as a forcefulness upon your being. It's not about holding ground and standing strong and letting the chaos and the storm happen around you while you stand still. No. It's you're forcing people to conform to your will. And it's not God's will. It's not a will of love. It's a will of complete atrocity, and it's a will of complete absurdity. And yet you have to look at this when this happens, if it does happen, which for men, you have to go through this. I don't think women necessarily need to go through this kind of thing. Women have a much more difficult time in handling this stuff just because they don't have the wiring to go through this kind of a thing. I genuinely, it's not even that I think that, it's what the data shows. It's what the literature suggests based off of the kinds of trauma that women go through and how they're unable to heal most of the time, or they're going to be stuck on SSRIs for the rest of their life and yet always hating their life anyway. And it's the same kind of thing with women that are on the pill, okay? Ever noticed how women on the pill choose men that they're actually not attracted to? And it's most oftentimes these soy boys. And then when they come off the pill, they have a bitter resentment toward the person that they're with. Well, why is that? Well, because it changes their hormones. So we're constantly taking in things that are changing hormones and that are changing the ways that we perceive the world. And we're taking in pills. We're not eating proper nutrition, generally speaking, for the society at large. And this is all playing a factor into this. And so when you're somebody, male or female, that has this mysterious, strong personality, which I don't think women need to have strong personalities. I mean, if you have a strong personality as a woman, that's fine, but it's not necessarily something I would recommend women strive for, as a strong personality, because it goes against their nature as a whole. And I think that men ought to be more strong in their personalities. They must. Women can be warm, inviting, feminine, and agreeable and empathetic. And that's what I've seen in women. Whenever women are acting in those kinds of modes of being in accordance to their character, they usually are much more happy. And in my experience, what I've seen, I don't know exactly the data on this specifically, but women like that are not on SSRIs or on the pill or anything like that. So With men, though, however, they're a lot more satisfied when they do have that strong personality, when they're able to protect and provide not just for themselves, but for the people that they love and they care for. Now, why is that? Well, because what happens when a man is weak? Okay, what happens when a man is mentally weak specifically, not just weak physically? Because you can look at somebody like Gandhi, for example, who was what was he, like 5'3" or something? I don't know, maybe 90 pounds. And yet nobody wanted to mess with the dude. Well, why is that? Well, because of his spiritual presence. He had a spiritual presence about him. And this is one of the reasons why with me, people treat me like I'm a 6'6" dude, and I'm 5'6". Like, I'm a short person, relatively compared to the average height for men. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I see myself less than anybody. I don't see myself as above or below anybody. And that's why I have the kind of results that I do, is because I'm actually trying to get information that is quality, that is going to actually, how do I say this as well? You know, it's like the only people that I'm truly concerned with reaching at this point are people that are actually wanting to reshape their lives or transform their lives into something better, into something more meaningful that draws them closer to God and Jesus Christ. Because I don't see personally, as a follower of Christ, that there is any other way that you can live your life in this life and see the fruits of your labor bear something of richness in wisdom or insight without growing closer to God. And the reason for that is because, well, you have to have wisdom in order to grow closer to God. But in order to grow closer to God and receive that wisdom, you have to be given that wisdom from Him. We can get knowledge from anywhere. We can get knowledge from the devil, of course. But to get true wisdom, that takes a connection with God. And oftentimes the mysterious, strong personality is going to have this kind of connection. Not always. It's not always going to be the case, but it is often going to be the case where this happens. And you know, something that I've just come to think about as well is the kinds of people that understand what I'm talking about right here. These are the kinds of people that are generally, this is what I've seen from people in my consultations, that I've done 250 consultations with people around the world at this point, and people in the Regal Change Academy. This is what I see as the common personality trait that I see. They're high in openness, they're high in industriousness, and they're really compassionate or open to compassion, and they're conscientious. Anybody that is not conscientious, not open-minded, and not industrious usually doesn't understand my message or doesn't want to understand. And people like this are not going to understand the mysterious, strong personality because they have a set belief of what people are like. And if they don't fall into that category, that's where the fear comes into play. That's where all these terrible things and all this other stuff happens, and all this confusion and misunderstanding occurs, because people sometimes are going to be determined to not see the truth. They are going to see that even though you're somebody that is just being who they are, that's mysterious to them. Have you ever noticed that authenticity is almost mysterious nowadays? Well, the reason for that is because nobody hardly ever anymore is actually authentic. And whenever you confront somebody and somebody is put on the spot and they're forced to show their cards, they often fold. They often fold. And the reason for that is because they can't really handle the energy that you're bringing to the table. And it just is what it is. I mean, that's all there is to it. And so the best thing that you can do if you have a mysterious, strong personality that is capable of these things is to just own it. I mean, own who you are. I'm not necessarily saying strive to be something you're not, because if you want, like, let's say there's a lot of times people will see titles like this or videos like this and they'll think, oh, that's what I want to be. It's like, well, that's fine if that's what you want to be and you choose to become, but who really are you? You know, who are you? Because I didn't want to be who I was for a long time. I didn't want to be like, I actually wanted to be this extroverted, uh, loud person that can command the room and talk to anybody and would always be able to lift everybody up all the time and to always have like a fun, positive energy. And, you know, I can do that when I need to, but it's not really who I am. Like, who I am when I'm alone is somebody that is quiet, very deep thinking, and likes to create stuff. That's really what I mean. That's as simple as it can be. I like to create things, and I'm pretty quiet, and I don't necessarily like loudness. When I'm alone, like, I don't like to listen to too much. I don't like to consume too much. I want to always be creating or doing something more than I'm consuming. And the reason for that is because I can tell, like, in my spirit, in my aligning self internally, where there's almost like this space where there's this internal spiritual line where if I'm consuming too much, it's almost like I get a vortex into that darkness, that dark energy that is not just in people, but collectively in society as a whole. And then, but if I'm creating and I'm doing things, there's this forward push, and it takes a little bit of effort, but after you're in a mode of being in a operation in which you're orienting yourself continually toward a state in which you are excelling or striving to excel in any way, particular shape and form, you're just moving forward. It's almost as if there's this relaxation in the spirit, even though the flesh is going through some things, or you might have to be thinking really difficult about difficult things. There's this forward momentum that you have that it's a little bit stressful on the body sometimes and on the mind, but in your spirit and your soul, oh man, you just feel so much more relaxed, calm, cool, collected. And if you have this calm, cool, collected personality, as you are also this mysterious, this personality type, as long as you are, and insofar as you are also mysterious and with a strong personality, because something also people have told me is that I have a strong personality, but I'm very calm about it. And I've wondered what that means exactly. And I've asked people, well, what exactly are you saying? Like, I'm not offended by it. I'm just curious on what they mean by it. And so it's like, well, they say something along the lines of, at least one person in particular said, well, you say things you say things so calmly, and yet it carries just so much weight. And sometimes that's going to happen with people, because people are sometimes going to be taken aback by the weight of your words. Because if you're a man or a woman of your word, and you say what you're going to do and you do what you say you're going to do, then your actions and your words start to match up, which means your words start to become more powerful, which means your word starts to have more meaning. And every time you speak, there's going to be a resonating factor in the people that you're speaking to. So with all this being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, we have the free Discord channel as well as the paid community. For the paid community right now, we are actually launching a Legends of Stoicism class series coming up starting next week. It'll be an 8-week class series that you can sign up for and enroll in the link in the description box below for the paid community. We also have other classes there for meditation workshop that you can do on your own time, the Godlike Savage workshop, the Entrepreneurial Minds, AI optimization, 7 Deadly Sins. Like, we have a bunch of different kinds of things that you can do on your own time now. We also have weekly Regal assembly calls where we talk about a variety of different topics and subjects, and a weekly Bible study call, as well as a weekly Maps of the Psyche call. And that's all included in the membership there for those classes. Those calls for those classes specifically. And then in the free Discord channel, we have an ebook available for you, as well as meditation guides and fitness guides available, as well as the community itself. And then I do appreciate everybody moving from the YouTube channel over to the X, Rumble, and Instagram platforms for Regal Change. I appreciate your guys' extra support here. I'm Thaddeus, signing off. Peace be with you all. Till next time.